आप सभी का हमारी एक और नई वीडियो के अंदर। तो कैसे हो आप सभी लोग? होप सभी अच्छे होंगे। तो आज करेंगे चैप्टर 10 साउंड साइंस का। तो पढ़ते हैं। हाउ डू यू केम टू नो दैट अ डोर बेल इन योर स्कूल यू कैन सी हाउ इजीली इट दैट समवन इज at your school door when it knocks or you hear the sound of the doorbell. Most of the time you can make out that someone is approaching you by just hearing the footsteps. You might have played a game called hide and seek. In this game, a person is blindfolded and has to catch the remaining players. How is the blindfolded person able to guess which player is closest to her? Sound plays an important role in our life. It helps us to communicate with one another. We hear a variety of sounds in our surroundings. Make a list of sounds you hear in your surroundings. In the music room of your school, you hear the sounds produced by musical instruments like flute, table, harmonium, etc. How is sound produced? How does it travel from one place to another? How do we hear sound? Why are some sounds louder than others? We shall discuss such questions in our chapter. Sound is produced by a vibrating body. Touch the school bell when not in use. What do you feel? Again, touch it when producing sound. Can you feel it vibrating? Activity 10.1. Take a metal plate or a pen. Hang it at a convenient place in such a way that it does not touch any wall. Now strike it with a stick. Do you hear a sound? Touch the plate or pan gently with your finger. Do you feel the vibrations? Again strike the plate with the stick on. Hold it tightly with your hands immediately after striking. Do you still hear the sound? Touch the plate after it stops producing sound. Can you feel the vibrations now? Activity 10.2. Take a rubber band, put it around the longer side of a pencil box. Figure 10.3. ये फिगर दिया हुआ है. Insert two pencils between the box and the structured rubber. Now plug the rubber band somewhere in the middle. Do you hear any sound? Does the band vibrate? As you learnt in class 7th, the to and fro or back and forth motion of an object is called vibration. When a tightly stretched band is plucked, it vibrates and produces sound. When it stops vibrating, it does not produce any sound. Activity 10.3. Take a metal dish, pour water in it, strike it at its edges with a spoon. Figure 13.4. Figure दे रखा है. Do you hear a sound? Again strike the dish and then touch it. Can you feel the dish vibrating? Strike the dish again. Look at the surface of water. Do you see any waves there? Now hold the dish. What changes do you observe on the surface of water? Can you explain the change? Is there a hint to connect sound with the vibrations of a body? We see that a vibrating object produces sound. In some cases, the vibrations are easily visible to us, but in most cases their amplitude is so small that we can't see them. However, we can feel them. Activity 10.4. Take a hollow coconut shell and make a musical instrument, iktara. You can also make it with the help of a earthen pot. Play this instrument and identify its vibrating part. ये iktara है. Make a list of familiar musical instruments and identify their vibrating parts. A few examples are given in table 10.1. Complete rest of the table. तो ये टेबल है, ये हमें फिल कर लेना. Many of you might have seen the manjira, the ghatam and the noot, mudpots and the kartal. These musical instruments are commonly used in many parts of our country. These instruments are simply beaten or struck. Can you name a few other musical instruments of this type? You too can make a musical instrument. घटम और ये मंजीरा है. Activity 10.5. Take 6 or 8 bowls or tumblers. Fill them with water up to different levels, increasing gradually from one end to another. Now take a pencil and strike the bowls gently. Strike all of them in succession. You will hear pleasant sounds. This is your Jaltrung. When we pluck the string of an instrument like the sitar, and the sound that we hear is not only that of the string, the whole instrument is forced to vibrate, and it is the sound of the vibration of the instrument that we hear. Similarly, when we strike the membrane, the sound that we hear is not only that of the membrane but of the whole body of the instrument. When we speak, does any part of our body vibrate? Sound produced by humans. Speak loudly for a while, or sing a song, or buzz like a bee. Put your hand on your throat as shown in figure 10.8. Do you feel any vibrations? In humans, the sound is produced by the voice box or the larynx. Put your fingers on the throat and find a hard pump that seems to move when you swallow. This part of the body is known as the voice box. It is the upper end of the windpipe. Two vocal cords are stretched across the voice box or larynx in such a way that it leaves a narrow slit between them for a passage of air. When the lungs force air through the slit, the vocal cords vibrate, producing sound. Muscles attract to the vocal cords can make the cords light or loose. When the vocal cords are tight and thin, the type of quality of voice is different from that when they are loose and thick. Let us see how the vocal cords function. Activity 10.6. Take two rubber sticks of the same size. Place these two pieces one above the other and stretch them tight. Now blow air through the gap between them. As the air blows through the stitched rubber strip, a sound is produced. You can also take a piece of paper with a narrow slit and hold it between your fingers as shown in figure 10.9. Now blow through the slit and listen to the sound. Our vocal cords produce sound in a similar manner. The vocal cords in the man are about 20 mm long. In women, these are about 15 mm long. Children have very short vocal cords. This is the reason why the voices of men, women, and children are different. Sound need a medium for propagation. When you call up your friend who is standing at a distance, your friend is able to hear your voice. How does the sound propagate or travel to her? Activity 10.7. Take a metal or glass tumbler. Make sure that it is dry. Place a cell phone in it. Remember that the cell phone must not be kept in water. Ask your friend to give a ring on this cell phone from another cell phone. Listen to the ring carefully. Now surround the rim of the tumbler with your hands. Put your mouth on the opening between your hands. Indicate to your friend to give a ring again. Listen to the ring while sucking air from the tumbler. Does the sound become fainter as you suck air? Remove the tumbler from your mouth. Does the sound become loud? Can you think of the explanation? Is it possible that the decreasing amount of air in the tumbler had something to do with decreasing loudness of the ring? In that you had been able to suck all the air in the tumbler, you will not listen any sound. Actually, sound need a medium to travel. When air has been removed completely from a vessel, it is that there is a vacuum in the vessel. The sound can't travel through a vacuum. The sound travel in liquids. Let us find out. Activity 10. Take a bucket of a bathtub. Fill it with clean water. Take a small bell in one hand. Shake this bell inside the water to produce sound. Make sure that the bell does not touch the body of the bucket or the tub. Place it gently on the water surface. Figure 10.11. Be careful, the water should not enter in your ear. Can you hear the sound of the bell? Does it indicate that sound can travel through liquids? Oh, that is how whales and dolphins might be communicating underwater. Let us find out if sound can travel through solids also. Activity 10.9. Take a meter scale or a long metal rod and hold its one end of your ear. Ask your friend to gently scratch or tap at the other end of the scale. Can you hear the sound of the scratching? Ask your friends around you if they were able to hear the same sound. You can also perform the above activity by placing your ear and one end of a long wooden or metallic table and asking your friend to gently scratch the other end of the table. We find out that the sound can travel through wood or metal. In fact, sound can travel through any solid. You can perform interesting activities to show that sound can also travel through strings. Have you ever made a toy telephone? You can say that sound can travel through strings. A toy telephone, ये toy telephone है. We have learned so far that vibrating objects produce sound and it is carried in all directions in a medium. The medium would be a gas, a liquid, or a solid. How do we hear it? 10.4. We hear sound through our ears. The shape of the outer part of the ear is like a funnel. When sound enters it, it travels down a canal at the end of which there is a thin structured membrane. It is called the eardrum. It performs an important function. To understand what the eardrum does, let us build a tin can model of the eardrum. Activity 10.10. Take a plastic or cut its ends. Stretch a piece of rubber balloon across one end of the can and fasten it with a rubber band. Put 4 or 5 grains of dry cereal on the strictured rubber. Now ask your friend to speak hurry hurry from the open end. Figure 10.15. Observe what happens to the grain. Why do the grains jump up and down? The eardrum is like a straight rubber sheet. Sound vibrations make the eardrum vibrate. The eardrum sends vibrations to the inner ear. From there, the signal goes to the brain. That is how we hear. We must never put a sharp, pointed, or hard thing into our ear. It can damage the eardrum. The damaged eardrum can impair hearing. 10.5. Amplitude, time, period, and frequency of a vibration. We have learned that the to and from motion of an object is known as vibration. This motion is called oscillatory motion. You have already learnt in earlier classes about the oscillatory motions and its time period. The number of oscillations per second is called the frequency of oscillations. Frequency is expressed in hertz. Its symbol is Hz. A frequency of 1 Hz is 1 oscillation per second. If an object oscillates 20 times in a 1 second, what would be its frequency? You can recognize many familiar sounds without seeing the objects producing them. How is it impossible? These sounds must be different to enable you to recognize them. Have you ever thought that what factors make them different? Amplitude and frequency are two important properties of any sound. Can we differentiate sounds on the basis of their amplitudes and frequencies, loudness and pitch? Activity 10.11. Take a metallic tumbler and a tappy spoon. Strike the tappy spoon gently at the brim of the tumbler. Sound produced. Now bang the spoon on the tumbler and hear the sound produced again. Is the sound louder when the tumbler is struck hard? Now suspend a small thermocol ball touching the rim of the tumbler. Vibrate the tumbler by striking it. See how far the ball is displaced. The displacement of the ball is a measure of the amplitude of vibration of the tumbler. Now strike the tumbler gently and then a little harder. Compare the amplitudes of vibrations of the tumbler in the two cases. In which case is the amplitude larger? Loudness of the sound is proportional to the square of the amplitude of the vibration producing the sound. For example, if the amplitude becomes twice, the loudness increases by a factor of 4. The loudness is expressed in a unit called decibel dB. The following table gives some idea of the loudness of sound coming from various sources. Normal breathing 10 dB, soft whisper at 5 minute 30 dB, normal conservation 60 dB, busy traffic 70 dB, average factory 80 dB. Above 80 dB the noise becomes physically painful. The loudness of sound depends on its amplitude. When the amplitude of vibration is large, the sound produced is loud. When the amplitude is small, the sound produced is feeble. Compare the sound of a baby with that of an adult. Is there any difference? Even if two sounds are equally loud, they differ in some way. Let us see how. I wonder why my voice is different from that of my teacher. The frequency determines the shrillness of or pitch of the sound. If the frequency of vibration is higher, we say that the sound is shrill and has a higher pitch. If the frequency of vibrations is lower, we say that the sound has a lower pitch. For example, a drum vibrates with a low frequency, therefore it produces a low pitched sound. On the other hand, a whistle has a high frequency and therefore produces a sound of higher pitch. Figure 10.18. A bird makes a higher pitch sound, whereas a lion makes a low pitch roar. However, the roar of the lion is very loud while the sound of the bird is quite feeble. Every day you hear the voices of children and adults. Do you find any difference in their voices? Can you say that the frequency of a voice of a child is higher than that of an adult? Usually the voice of a woman has a higher frequency than that of the man. Audible and inaudible sounds. We know that we need a vibrating body for the production of sound. Can we hear the sound of all vibrating bodies? The fact is that sound of frequencies less than 20 vibrations per second, 20 Hz, can't be detected by the human ear. Such sounds are called inaudible. On the higher side, sound of frequencies higher than about 20,000 vibrations per second, 20 kHz, are also not audible to the human ear. Thus, for human ear, the range of audible frequencies is roughly from 20 to 20,000 Hz. Some animals can hear sound of frequencies higher than 20,000 Hz. Dogs have this ability. The police use high frequency whistles which dogs can hear but mans can't. The ultrasound equipment failure to us for investigating and trafficking many medical problems work at frequencies higher than 20,000 Hz. 10.7. Noise and music. We hear different type of sound around us. Is the sound always pleasing? Does the sound sometimes cause discomfort you? Some sounds are pleasant to the ear, whereas some are not. Suppose concentration work is going on in your neighborhood. Are the sounds coming from the construction site pleasing? Do you enjoy the sounds produced by horns of buses and trucks? Such unpleasant sounds are called noise. In a classroom, if all the students speak together, what would the sound produced be called? On the other hand, you enjoy sounds from musical instruments. Musical sound is one which is pleasing to the ear. Sound produced by a harmonium is the musical sound. The String of a sitar always gives out a musical sound, but if a musical sound becomes too loud, would it remain melodious? 10.8 Noise pollution. You already know that about air pollution. Pressure of unwanted gases and particles in air is called air pollution. Similarly, pressure of exclusive or unwanted sounds in the environment is called noise pollution. Can you list some sources of noise pollution? Major causes of noise pollution are sounds of vehicles, explosions including bursting of crackers, machines, loudspeakers, etc. What sources in the home may lead to noise? Television and transistor radio at higher volumes. Some kitchen implements, desert coolers, air conditioners all contribute to noise pollution. What are the harms of noise pollution? Do you know that pressure of excessive noise is the surroundings may cause many health related problems? Lack of sleep, hypertension, high blood pressure, anxiety, and many more health disorders may be caused by noise pollution. A person who is exposed to a loud sound continuously may get temporary or even permanent impairment of hearing. Measures to limit noise pollution. To control noise, we must control the sources of noise. How can this be achieved? For this, silencing devices must be installed in aircraft engines, transport vehicles, industrial machines, and home appliances. How can the noise pollution be controlled in a residential area? All noisy operations must be conducted away from any residential area. Noise producing industries should be set up away from such areas. Use of automobiles horns should be minimized. TV and music systems should be run at low volumes. Trees must be planted along the roads and around buildings to cut down on the sounds reaching the residents, thus reducing the harmful effect of noise pollution.